Hello and welcome to Die Rolling. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and today I'm here to talk to you about Space Lion by Solace Game Studios. They sent us a review copy. Thank you so much for that because we have really enjoyed our time with it. I'm going to quickly go to the table and give you an overview of the game before you can join me back here for our thoughts on it. So we're going to set up our first game using the prototype that we were sent. So each player chooses an army and you place your army's player board in front of you and the 7 unit cards into your hand. So here is our player board, and then we have 7 cards in our hand. So we've got a worker card, and during the battle phase they can level up 1 card, wherever it may be. We have a hacker. His strength is 1. In battle, every unit with 5 or more, including yours, becomes 0 and limited. Always exhausts. We have a marine, level 1. Once per round, move this unit to an unresolved lane. We have the officer. With 3 strength, if you win this lane, enemy units become limited. We have a war hero. We have a mech. We have a captain. Lovely artwork on all these. So these are your 7 cards you're going to have in your hand at the start. Now each player chooses 1 hero card from their army. So what we have there is we've basically got the same cards, but with special abilities. So we've got this guy who's Jo, a TARDIS worker. Regenerative, when exhausted, returns to hand. Battle planning, he can still level up 1 card wherever it may be. This guy's like an unstoppable thing. He keeps coming back, so you can choose him. Moxie, battle, every unit with 5 or more, including yours, becomes 0 and limited. Each effective player must exhaust a card from their hand and move this card into one of your lanes. It becomes visible. This unit does not count towards your deploy limit. We have Gibby. Once per round, move this unit to another lane. Once per round, deploy 2 Marines in this lane and battle all Marines in all lanes become persistent this round. This card becomes limited. We have Trey, enemy units become limited. Planning, move an exhausted enemy unit into its owner's empty planning area. Do not activate this planning effect. Samantha, when deployed, you may have this card become visible. If you do, all battle effects in this lane are negated. Recover up to 2 of your exhausted units in the planning phase. Then we've got Jesse and OH2. Planning, look at a face down card, then return it to its original position or banish any one of your cards to ready your nuke. And then we've got Malakos. If you win the lane and have 5 plus more strength than each other player, deal double damage. Planning, deploy 3 Marines in any combination on your lanes and level up 1 card. He's pretty cool. So you have to choose one of these guys. So we're going to go for, we'll get the captain. And then what you do is you replace the same card from your deck. Now sometimes you might have an additional setup in this little area here, but we don't have to worry about that for the Leon armies. We then place 3 hit points in here like so. And then we place our 3 tower units. Now, our towers are double-sided. There's a damage side and a regular side. These are the 3 lanes of attack. So I'm going to put 1 there, put 1 here, put 1 over there. Now, whilst we're doing this, the other player will be doing exactly the same as us. And we will randomly determine who gets this token here, which is the priority token, which is basically who gets to go first. We also need to place our nuke to the side of our board over here. And when that's ready, we can use this ability. We also need to place our 6 kind of Marine units into here. You're also going to have some level 2 cards. And these are slightly upgraded versions of your base guys. And during this, when you have that upgrade ability, you can replace your level 1 card with one of these level 2 cards. And that concludes setup. In Spaceline, you are managing an army of 7 cards. Each round you will decide how to use your cards, deploy cards face down in lanes to battle, place a card face up on your player board to use a planning effect, or even purposefully hold some of your cards back for next round. Lanes are resolved in the order chosen by the player with a priority token. Lane resolution order is very important, so be ready for surprises. The player with the highest strength in a lane wins, causing damage to the towers or bases of other players connected to that lane. Destroy all enemy bases to win. So we've got our 3 blue towers here, which are protecting our base. We have 3 hit points on our base, and there's the 3 red towers there, and their 3 hit points there. And just for an idea for how it plays with more players, you don't have just these 3 lanes. You've got a lane to the left, a lane in front, and a lane to the right. So everyone is fighting over here. This is basically defending you from everybody, and this is just defending you from the player to the left and the right of you. So the game is played in rounds. A round consists of 4 phases. The first phase is planning. Starting with a player with a priority token, that player completes their planning phase. Then the next player clockwise from the priority token completes their planning phase, and so forth and so forth. On your planning phase, you do the following in any order. You deploy up to 4 units face down, the units being the cards in your hand, and activate up to 1 planning effect. So to deploy a unit, you place a unit card from your hand face down into one of the 3 lanes connected to your base. And for a planning effect, you can place a unit into your planning area face up to activate 1 planning effect on your board or on the card placed into the planning area. You get the effect immediately. Your planning area can only hold 1 card. You cannot plan another card if this space is full. So here's our planning area there. So you'll basically place it there. And then once they become exhausted, they're going to be moving along here. So we're going to go straight off. We're going to put a card in there. We're going to put a card into here. And then we're going to put a card into this one over there. And I can place another unit. So I'm going to place this guy in here to do our special ability here, which is deploy up to 3 of our Marines. So we're going to put 3 into here. And that's the end of the planning phase for that guy. Our enemy over there, they're going to be doing something similar. So they're going to put these into there, this into here, and this into there. So now we go to reveal. So all players complete the following steps in order simultaneously. Return any exhausted units on your player board to your hand, which we don't currently have. Move a card from your player board planning area to exhaust area. So our officer is now into our exhausted area over here. Then we flip your units on the battlefield face up. So let's take a look. So over here, we've got our mech, strength of 5, and then we've got a worker and a hacker. So they're over there. So in the moment, we've got strength of 5 here and a strength of 1 over here. We've got our war hero versus a mech. And then over here, if I can pick them up, we have a worker versus a captain. So that's the reveal phase. There was nothing on any of the cards to do anything during the reveal phase, so we now go on to the battle. So the player with a priority token resolves each lane one at a time in any order. Resolve each lane once, including lanes the player with a priority token is not participating in or that may be empty. Only cards and effects in the lane currently being resolved apply. To resolve a lane, you do the following. To start the player with the priority token and going clockwise, also referred to as priority order, each player may resolve any combination of their battle effects. So let's start over here. We're going to start with this lane. So we can do this battle level up 1 card wherever it may be. So we're going to level up. We're going to level up our worker over here. So we've done that effect there. Next, we check out the strength. So we've got a strength of 6 here and a strength of 3 there. The player with the most strength wins that lane. Each losing player receives damage. When you receive damage, you must flip your tower token in that lane to damage, remove your damage token in that lane, or lose a HP token. Simultaneously, solo cards return to the owner's hand and group cards are exhausted. So what that means is, over here, the strength is 6 versus 3. So this is a solo card. This is a card we placed out on its own. So this goes straight back into my hand. So we can use that next round. These 3 guys get returned back to their barracks. Captain is returned back to their hand, and our tower is damaged over here. So next we're going to go on to this one. This is fairly simple. The red mech beats the blue war hero. And it's a solo card, so they both go back to our hands. And this one's a little more involved, I guess. So we're going to level up one card wherever it may be. So we're going to level up the Hacker. Then battle. Every unit with 5 or more strength, including yours, becomes 0 and limited, which means our mech here is now 0 and limited. What that means is this card is going to be exhausted. If you've got a limited card, it goes exhausted. Even though it's just a single card, it's not going to go into our lane. So this is now 0. We beat it on strength, so this goes into here. We win this lane as well, so that's another damage over there. Each effective player must exhaust a card from their hand as well. So we also have to exhaust one of these. So we're going to get rid of our Hacker. Now, these are grouped cards because we actually played them at the same time. That means these 2 cards are exhausted. We now do a defeat check. Check for defeated players. If a player's base has 0 HP, that player is eliminated from the game. You remove the army's player board, cards and armies. In a 2-player game, clearly, you just know who's going to win. And also, once per game, at the start of resolving your battle effects, you may instead use your nuke by flipping it to empty. This would have helped us with this particular lane over here. So we would be able to negate all battle effects, exhaust all units, and clash. No winner, and we get to flip this card. And that, my friends, is a game of Spaceline. So, what I enjoy about this game, the artwork for one, we've only got the prototype copy here, so obviously the artwork will change in the full one. There'll be some different artwork on the different cards and stuff. But yeah, the artwork is fantastic. It really feels like you're kind of like in some kind of anime space saga kind of thing, like a big space epic, space opera. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, really, really cool artwork. Now, I played a game similar to this where you've got 3 different lanes and you're trying to like claim the lanes really with Crimson Company. So it's a similar kind of game to that from my perspective anyway, coming into this. However, it's very different to that. I love the fact that you can play up to 5 players in this. We only have enough components here to play 2-player games, but I can really imagine when you're playing more than 2, this just escalates because you don't have to worry about just 3 lanes in front of you. You've got like a lane which everyone is trying to get to, and then you've got the lane to your left and the lane to your right. So you've got to really kind of watch your opponents on that. And I imagine when you're playing like 3+ games, this gets intense pretty quick because you're being attacked on all fronts of this side. When you've got the 3 lanes, it's a really simple affair in the sense that it's very easy to learn these rules and it's very easy to kind of come up with strategies for it. There's a lot of kind of faking people out with stuff as well. And when you've those hero cards, when you have a hero card in your like deck of 7 cards, then you can really kind of like chop and change things up. Some of the hero cards I felt were more useful than other hero cards, but I think that's down to the amount of time I've had with this game. And I think the more you play this game, the more those other cards will make sense and have more strategic kind of like benefits. The guy I liked the best was one who could basically teleport from one lane to another, and you could basically use that guy and assist other lanes which weren't doing so well. So I really enjoy the gameplay of this. I think it's very tight. I think it's very easy to learn. Like I say, the artwork is really cool in this. What didn't I like? I guess on the back of what I just said, some of those hero characters didn't necessarily jump out at me as being that useful from the offset. But I think that comes down to familiarity with the game. The more you play this game, those ones will probably have more strategic benefits. And when you're playing a game with more than 2 players, having one of those other cards might be more beneficial. But without having those components, I couldn't actually tell you. So this is really just a review of the 2-player game because, like I say, we didn't have enough components to make to play the 5-player game, which would have been fantastic. This is a game that takes about 25 to 40 minutes to play a 2-player game. When you play this a few times, your 20-minute can be happening each time. Although there is some player analysis paralysis that can happen in this because you have all these 7 cards and you've got to figure out which cards you're going to use, if you're going to use it in the planning kind of area or if you're going to be attacking a specific thing. So when I played a few games of this, I know my opponent was kind of struggling to make decisions at points, and that did extend the gameplay a bit. But once again, this is about familiarity with the kind of rule set and the game itself. And the fact you've only got 7 kind of cards to choose from, which you can then upgrade, which is a great option as well, means that it does limit that analysis paralysis somewhat, because you don't have like a ton of different troops, and you do have to, however, think very hard about when you want to play things and where you want to play things. So yeah, it's a really interesting game. Is this a buy, a play, or avoid from die rolling? Well, I think this is definitely a play, because it's a very interesting strategic game with some lovely components and artwork. Is this a back? Now, it's a hard one because, like I say, if I'm just going on the 2-player game, I would say this is a play. However, from looking at the rules for this and understanding of how that 3+ player game would work, I think that would be a buy. I think when you're playing with more people, it would have some really fun and unique scenarios happening out there. Some very good kind of moments at the table. You'll walk away and you'd kind of have some really good stories. So I think, like, if you're looking for this for a 3+ kind of player game, this is definitely something you should definitely check out, because 3+, I think this would be the sweet spot. 2-player is a very tight, very balanced strategic game, and yeah, I guess, like, if I wanted this in my collection, yeah, I guess I would back this. Actually, I'm kind of convincing myself here. Yes, I probably would back this. It is a good game you could get out with a couple of players. It's if you're playing games at lunch, at your workplace. This was definitely something you could get a bunch of people in. You could do tournament play with this as well, which would be quite interesting. So Space Lion for me. Sorry, I keep looking down there because the rule book there, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. Space Lion for me. Yes, it's a back. I would say a back. If you're not 100% certain on this, then check out some more videos for it. But yeah, I think it's a very tight game. I think the artwork is really good. I'd love to see what it looks like 3-player, like 3+. But obviously we couldn't at this point. So anyway, so yes, thank you for checking out our video for Space Lion. I've been the ever excitable Adam. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe to our various different social media content. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Until next time, guys, stay safe and keep rolling.